You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm Kirk Mona, and joining me are Rachel Gimza and Victoria Thompson. We're all naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders, just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Good to see you guys.
Hey, Victoria.
I was out for a couple weeks there. Yeah.
So happy you're back. I'm
Returned
so excited.
from medical
I don't know
leave.
what you're bringing, but yay.
Well, so I feel, I start things off this week. I feel like I've done a lot of spider episodes over the years to the point where when I started preparing this episode, I had this gut feeling that I'm sort of the designated spider person in our little podcast trio.
I love that for you for a couple of reasons that will come up later.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, I did go back and look at the big spreadsheet that we have of all the episodes that we've done. And I have done 6 spider-related episodes that I could find.
Phenomenal. How many
snake eating.
spider episodes have we done?
Well, so I did one on snake-eating spiders. There were the giant invasive Juro spiders, zombie robot spiders.
Flying spiders.
Pirate spiders.
It was burned into my brain.
Yeah, giant eating tarantulas and spiders that use male fireflies as bait for other fireflies pretty recently. Kirk, you did one on flying spiders.
Oh, did I do the
Yeah, you did the flying spiders one.
I love this
Gosh,
aspect.
I thought that was yours.
I love this aspect of the podcast because we talked about it, but every time, once we're done recording, any knowledge of what I've covered versus what you guys have covered goes out the window. It's all just one meld, and I might remember pieces in here and there. But
and it's hilarious that I thought you did the spiders because you're the one that does spiders.
Right. Well, you've done 3 spider episodes, Kirk. Rachel, you're very close. You've done 5 to my 6.
Yes.
So,
Ooh.
I might be the spider queen, but not by a lot.
I would say my topic today is sort of spider adjacent.
Mine is not.
In a way.
Okay. Well, we've done 13 spider episodes, if I'm counting correctly. And,
cool.
You would think we've covered the topic fairly well, but no.
No.
Oh, no. There's so many spiders.
Spiders everywhere.
Lightest.
I'm going to tell...
Drop to drink?
Something.
Okay.
That's what we both were like.
I am here today to tell you about a kind of spider I didn't even know existed. This is a broad category of spiders that is completely new to me. Okay. Today I am talking about sea spiders. As if you needed another
really cool
reason to stay out of the water.
I love the ocean.
Yeah, I feel like I've
heard of sea
a
spiders.
passing
That's
mention.
so exciting. Oh my God, Victoria.
And I was like, wait, there's spiders in the sea? But then I didn't
there are.
more because,
So I did not know there was such a thing.
I did, but I love the ocean.
The pictures are very creepy.
Yeah.
Only one order exists of these creatures. It's called Pantopoda, which is an apt name because in Latin that means all feet, or, sort of by extension, all legs. And
amazing.
Yeah, great.
That is what they look like. They are just a bunch of legs stuck together in the middle. By not much.
Love it.
Oh, I'm going to hate this.
I'm sorry to say this is actually this is a bit of a bait and switch because sea spiders are not actually spiders.
There it is.
They are not even actually arachnids quite, but they are related. They're related to spiders and arachnids. Okay. They're in the larger group called chelicerates, which also includes arachnids, but also horseshoe crabs. But then they're a separate third group.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
They're a
Yes.
secret third thing.
Yes. And what I said before about how it looks like they're just a bunch of legs stuck together, this is pretty much exactly true. They lack an abdomen.
What?
Yes.
What?
They have no abdomen. Just think about that for a moment.
Okay.
Think about all the things that other arthropods stick into their abdomen.
Well, don't they
Digestive
usually-
system, reproductive
Yeah.
system,
That's all in the
respiratory
abdomen.
system.
Locomotion.
Usually,
center.
like, it's like abdomen or thorax things are attached to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
have a
do sea
thorax?
spiders put that stuff?
Do they have a
In their
numero?
head.
Well, they're not arachnids. No,
They-
not their head.
They put it in their legs.
Oh,
They're like, oh, that was my other choice.
you know
okay.
what? Why not?
Cool.
Sure. So do they have
Yeah.
a specialized leg that's just like, this is my stomach leg over here, and that's my
Ooh.
intestine leg?
No,
Oh,
it's
good
all
question.
remarkably unspecialized as far as I can tell. Now, I'm gonna just make a little
See,
caveat.
that way you can lose one.
Well, I suppose. I'm going to make a caveat and say that this group of organisms is not very well studied. So there's a lot we don't know.
Okay.
They're kind of hard to raise in the lab, and they're actually pretty small in spite of how scary looking they are. Most of them are pretty teeny. So they don't. So that's his background. So I'm just going to say what I was able to find out.
Okay.
They do not have a respiratory organ, such as gills or lungs. Instead, they absorb oxygen by diffusion through their exoskeleton,
Okay.
which is porous.
Cool.
Okay.
So that is one reason why their legs are so long relative to their body size, is because it gives them more surface area to do that.
Yeah.
Ah.
Exchange
Okay.
gas.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And
Horrifying, but makes sense.
the legs, the legs contain basically the guts. So each leg has a long, narrow pouch called a diverticulum, which is basically like a pouch of the gut. And they do have a heart, but it doesn't. So, like, all arthropods have an open circulatory system. So it's not like ours where it just goes into smaller and smaller blood vessels and you get down to the capillaries. No, there's most of their body's kind of open space, and the heart pumps blood
There's a big
into
bag of goo.
Yeah, big bag of goo. The
That's a scientific term.
Horrifying.
the blood or hemolymph, as it's technically known, directly
it's not
bathes
actually blood,
the
right?
organs. Yeah. I mean, it's basically blood, right?
Yeah. It's close enough.
Yeah.
But in sea spiders, their heart pump is not actually all that strong, I guess. And what actually helps pump blood and oxygen around their bodies, in addition to the heart, is the contractions of these gut pouches in their legs.
Oh.
So their
Cool.
digestive system is also helping to power the circulatory and respiratory systems, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
That's wild. Yeah.
I love that, because like one of the things that I am so fond of, like sort of like teaching, is about how when you start studying nature, you find out that there's more than one way to do the same thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so that's like, I love learning about like these alternate systems for getting it done that have evolved.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It is very cool. Speaking of getting it done, I don't know about you, but as I started learning about this and about their interesting digestive system with a pouch in each leg, I started thinking,
How did they
But how-
reproduce, Victoria?
oh no, well, that's another question that I don't know the answer
I
to.
thought that's where you're going with, speaking of getting things done.
No,
she's
the other thing that you need to do, which is, how do they poop?
Oh, that's the other thing you got to get done.
that is
Yeah,
pretty
okay,
important.
fair enough.
Yeah. How do they poop if they're
Taking
if their
taking
bowels
care of
are
business.
their bowels are spread out everywhere.
I was like, do they have a little anus at the end of each leg? How does this work?
There's the quote of the
Or-
show. Their bowels are spread out everywhere. That was a phrase I didn't
Well, what
need to
if
hear
like
today.
it all like it's all connected, right? So what if it's like an octopus, like it just comes out like a sponge, it comes out where it goes in.
Yeah, Well, the answer is we don't really know.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
We don't know
Again,
how they poop.
Now, wait, hold on. When I say that on the show, both you were like, oh, no, how dare you bring a topic we don't know the answer to? And Victoria says it, and we go, okay.
You bring an inordinate
I'm just gonna point
amount
that out.
of you bring an inordinate amount of things that are
Unsolved mysteries.
unsolved, however. And
Yes.
Okay,
I would
fair.
like to say it is just hitting me that we don't know how sea spiders poop. That feels basic.
Well, I think the best guess currently seems to be some sort of diffusion situation.
They diffuse their poop?
Well, like their waste, not their poop. I think it's sort of on a
It's-
molecular level.
Is it liquid or yeah?
Yes.
Ugh.
I did find one paper that was talking about maybe these scientists found some excretory organs, but to be honest,
Exciting.
the scientific jargon was so intense on that one I couldn't really completely tell what they were talking about. If I'm
Oh,
being
then-
honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
If Victoria
Some
doesn't know,
serious
then
excretory jargon.
if Victoria doesn't know, then Kirk, you and I have no chance.
There's no
At the
hope
very
for
minimum,
anyone.
There's no hope for at least me.
Yeah.
But all of this is just such a weird arrangement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how just like how do they reproduce? How do they? What is the thing that connects them in the middle? What is the purpose
Like
of
are
that?
there are there eyes on their legs? Like is there like
How
is
do they
there
sense
any
and
sort of
explore
central
their
body structure?
surroundings?
Oh, yeah. Stuff that I didn't look into as much because I was focused on this other thing that I'm going to talk about, which is
Oh, you haven't even gotten to the thing yet. Okay, good.
why they don't have an abdomen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
feels
which-
important.
There's been some recent research. So this group of scientists was interested in why they don't have an abdomen, and they were able to actually get one species of sea spider to survive and reproduce in the lab.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
so then they were able to do some genetic analysis on it. And as a little bit of background here, there are these genes that are very important in development, and they're called HOX genes, HOX.
Okay.
HOX. There's a
heard of
bunch of
that.
different ones. HOX
Yeah.
genes control what body parts develop where in animals. And they've done experiments with sort of typical experimental animals, like particularly fruit flies, Drosophila, where we understand. So for Drosophila, fruit flies, we understand a lot about what genes control what things, and they're relatively simple. And so scientists have shown that they can like do stuff like manipulating the HOX genes so that a leg is growing where an antenna should come out,
Oh,
which is kind of nuts and a little disturbing.
that's oh yeah.
Just a titch, you know. That's when
that
you
was the
get
most
the.
Minnesota-
That was
100%.
extremely
Oh, yeah.
Minnesotan. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where are you from?
You betcha. There's no doubt, yeah.
Oh yeah, you betcha. Okay, so like that's.
Oofta. All right.
Oh my god.
But anyway, there is a HOX gene that controls the development of the abdomen. All right, in
Right.
Gotcha.
arthropods and arachnids, and so they wanted to look into what was going on with this abdomen HOX gene. They figured maybe there were some mutations,
yeah.
maybe like some rearrangements, something. And instead, they found that this particular gene is just gone, missing.
What?
I was wondering.
Yeah,
It's not there.
it's not there.
Says
and
sayonara. Okay.
We don't know why. We don't know if like somehow the gene got deleted and
Yeah,
this is what
deletion, yeah.
happened because of that, or if the development into the legs happened first and the gene just got deleted because it wasn't being used. So a really interesting question. The next step would be probably to try knocking out that gene in another arachnid species and seeing what happens.
or putting it
could be
into
fun.
this species and seeing what happens.
Or yes, although I
Why
don't know. I
not
think
both?
I don't know if
it
that would, I
may
don't know if
be
that would
easier
work,
to
but like,
take out a gene than to add a gene.
yeah, probably.
Possibly.
I gotta
Messing up
imagine if you took it out of
the
something else, it
number.
just would not survive, though. You know?
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably.
Huh.
Well, lots more research needed, it sounds like.
Yes.
You too can research sea spiders and figure out all of the answers to the questions that we have a burning need to know.
I feel like
Yes.
I know we have some younger listeners, and like I hope that we inspire some of them to find some of these answers, become a scientist, so they can write to us someday and say like, "Hey, you did this episode 10 years ago, and now I am like a PhD candidate, and I'm figuring it out."
That would be so awesome.
That would make my day.
Yes.
That's really all I got. Sorry, I don't know more about their reproduction and all that other stuff you had questions about.
No, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But they were just such strange creatures. I first was alerted to this by a New York Times article from July 1st of 2025, which talked about the missing abdomen of sea spiders. And that was reporting on the paper, which is the genome of a sea spider corroborates a shared Hox cluster motif in arthropods with a reduced posterior tagma. Which was published July 2nd, 2025 in BMC Biology by Nikolaos Papadopoulos et al. And then also got some good information from NOAA that had an article about sea spiders, and then the stuff about the guts driving the respiration comes from an article in Current Biology from July of 2017, Respiratory Gut Peristalsis by Sea Spiders. And also a Science News article about that research as well. That is what I got. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, it'll be Kirk.
Thanks, Victoria.
You betcha.
Oh my God. You're from the East Coast.
Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah. You betcha, babe. All right. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I got a question for my co-hosts. I guess you can play along at home, but remember, I can't hear you screaming at the speakers. Are either of you familiar with the king oyster mushroom?
I've heard of it.
I
don't think I've
about
eaten it.
oyster mushrooms.
Sure, yeah. Okay, good, close enough. I mean, this is once again an example of something named after what it reminds humans of. We talked about this on the show before, like butterfly shrimp, seahorses, catbirds, dynamite tree. These are all examples of this sort of thing. The king oyster mushroom is also known as the king trumpet mushroom, which I guess had same idea, or the French horn mushroom, which again, we're naming after something it reminds us of. Scientifically, this fungus is known as Pleurotus eryingi, and the king part of the name, I think, partly refers to the size. They get big. When mature, they can be 4 to 8 inches, that's 10 to 20 centimeters tall, and 1 to 2 inches or 2 tall, yes.
Oh, man.
And then 2.5 to 5 centimeters in diameter. So they have,
It's a
they do have
sizable
relatively, it is, but they have pretty small caps. So it seems
Yeah.
like it's mostly the stem, that people are eating, and these are very edible. So they are amongst the oyster mushrooms, which a lot of people like to eat. I guess taste-wise, they're kind of meaty tasting, so they're very edible, prized for their texture, and a savory, mild flavor that, like a lot of mushrooms, takes on other seasonings and kind of tastes like whatever you season it to. They're native to the Mediterranean as well as parts of Asia, and are used as a food source, as far as I can tell, pretty much everywhere they grow. And because of their flavor, they can be used as a meat substitute. So you can cook them by slicing, searing, roasting, grilling, and stir-frying them to create vegetarian dishes like scallops or bacon.
You know
but that
what?
really makes-
Sounds delicious,
Yeah?
though.
Kirk, now that I Googled the mushroom and I'm looking at it, and I actually did buy these once because I was trying,
go.
I think it was like a vegan bacon recipe.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
That's cool. So I was thinking like, oh, these would be really like, oh, these, like you're making a vegetarian dish, right? But then I was like, can we really call a fungus a vegetable? I mean,
You're
true
gonna
enough,
be
they aren't animals.
But they're
But
not
plants either. Definitely not. No, like
Again, a
scientifically,
secret
fungus.
third thing.
Yes, exactly. They are in their own kingdom of life, completely separate from both plants and animals. Genetically, fungus is actually more closely related to animals than it is to plants, which always is something that just kind of breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Fungus
Because they
are
just look
heterotrophs.
like plants.
They do look kind of like plants, right? But they are heterotrophs, meaning they get nutrients from outside their body and can't make their own food, which is a pretty important distinction between plants and animals. Also, like animals, they store energy in the form of glycogen. And evolutionarily, animals and fungus share a more recent common ancestor than plants and animals do. So, pretty cool on its own. Now, this fact that fungus is more like an animal than a plant leads me to the core of today's story. I've been sitting on this one for a year. It is based on a journal article that came out back in August of 2024 in the journal Science Robotics.
Okay.
So, an
What?
interdisciplinary team of researchers from the Cornell University in the US and the University of Florence in Italy decided that what we really need to do is to create robots controlled by fungus.
Oh my
Yeah, that
gosh.
And
feels
so
like
they
a
did.
Oh no.
Yeah, this feels like a great idea. I'm already like nervous about how widespread fungus can be. So let's
Okay.
give them, technology and
Legs?
robotics.
How about legs? How do you feel about giving them legs?
Oh, good.
Fungus on legs.
What?
Just what we
Because
need.
that's what they did. This is such a
no.
fun story. So the researchers actually created two different robots. One was wheeled, and the other had multiple legs, and they describe it as looking a bit like a starfish or a sea star, although I like to think maybe sort of spider-like as well, kind of tying into Victoria's story. Now,
That's more
I
horrifying.
sometimes that is much more horrifying than a sea star. I think it was kind of like a soft robot, if you're familiar with some of the soft robots. But I sometimes find it interesting to look at like how the average person interprets research news like this. And so over on Reddit, people were talking about this story last year, and mostly they were poo-pooing this research and saying that the fungus wasn't actually controlling the robot. The robot was just responding to random inputs from the fungus. They said it was something like if someone made a robot that went forward every time I blink and turned left when I yawn, and then, turned right when I blink, or, just responding to random stimulus. And, the robot is responding to signals from me in that way, if you hooked me up to it, but like I would not actually be controlling the robot in any meaningful way. Right. But even though I think it was sometimes portrayed that way, or people perceived some of the popular media articles about like that's what was happening, I don't think that's actually a fair comparison at all, and it really misses the point, which is that it misses the point of which which input on the fungus the researchers were measuring. So what is so interesting here is that the research team was able to develop an electrical interface to both house the mycelia and measure their electrophysiological action potentials, which is a big mouthful. But mycelia are kind of like the roots of a fungus.
That's
they're
like the
different, but
main body of the fungus.
we're going to go with that. It's actually what makes up most of the fungus. The mushroom is just the fruiting body, sort of like the fruit on a tree. So think about like an apple tree. You wouldn't mistake the apple for the tree. It's just the fruit. The mushroom is just the fruit of the fungus. And a tree is much bigger than an apple. A fungus is usually much larger than the mushroom that gets produced. There's exceptions to these kind of things, but that's one way to think about it.
Right.
So because these mycelia are kind of like the roots of a fungus, keep in mind though that roots are trying to seek out like water. These mycelia are actually seeking out food. And so the researchers developed a control model to use the rhythmic voltage spikes from living mycelia to actually control the locomotion of both of these kinds of robots. So they were measuring what's going on in these mycelia as they're reacting to their environment and then translating those into motion in the robot. And these signals from the mycelia were not random. They were in response to stimulus. Specifically, these mycelia are sensitive to and respond to UV light. And the researchers were essentially able to make a robot that could move toward a source of UV light that was controlled by the fungus's reaction to that UV light. So no, like the fungus doesn't have a brain and it's going, wee, I can finally move around. But in a very real way, it's giving locomotion to a fungus and having it control a robotic body, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So interesting. Now, researchers are interested in creating biorobots for various reasons. And living components in a robot can be used as sensitive like sensors and detectors that can actually detect things that we can't easily detect with any kind of artificial sensors. So this is actually a growing field of research. But one of the issues is that we can't keep living tissue alive very long when used in this way. So it kind of limits what researchers are able to do. And part of what makes this research so interesting is that because it uses fungus, which is much easier to keep alive than, say, like plant or animal tissue, that gives a lot of promise to what could what could be possible. These researchers came up with a way to keep these cells stable for long periods so they could be used this way. And right now, look, to be clear, this is a bit of a novelty, right? I mean, it's like fungus controlling robots. Like it's just like sort of a sensationalist headline. But long term, as more people are like, we can do this, it could lead to some super interesting research outcomes down the road. So it could be something to watch out for. That's what I've got this week. It's pretty short and sweet. Fungal robots. Wild. I just thought it was super cool and something people, our listeners, would appreciate knowing that somewhere out there in the world there are robots being controlled by fungus, which is
super cool.
That's really weird. And I will say, incidentally, I did come across another really weird thing about oyster mushrooms while looking into this week's story, and there isn't time to go into it on this week's show. So get ready, because these mushrooms have another weird trick up their sleeve that I'll be talking about next week.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh. Now, hold on.
Mushrooms.
The mycelium that they used, was it the king oyster mushroom that they were using?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was trying to think of I might have missed it, but I was trying to think of what the connection was.
That's the connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild.
So specifically, they were using the king oyster mushrooms. These are very easy to come by, very easy to grow like in a lab. In fact, sometimes when you buy those like grow mushrooms at home kits for your kitchen, they are king oyster mushrooms. So this is a mushroom that we are very familiar with how to propagate. And it may have just been that they were like, hey, these are easy to grow. Let's use these.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, path of least resistance there.
Thanks, Kirk.
Cool. Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll find out what Rachel has for us.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So a few weeks ago, probably more than a few weeks ago, time is wild that way, I just had to share with all of you some groundbreaking research regarding an animal making sounds, which we had never heard make sounds before.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yes.
And this week, I have to share something I discovered while listening to a different science podcast. I was listening to Ologies, and they just mentioned this little tiny tidbit and just kept going. And I'm like, no. Go back. I want to learn more about that thing.
Okay.
Did you say,
just as long as it's not
nidbit?
I did say tidbit.
I've never heard that before.
Well,
I was going to say just as long as it's not another episode about dandelions.
It is not.
Hey, I will tell you, we gave Rachel a hard time for the dandelion episode. That was one of our top listened to episode
Yeah, it was.
of like all time. People love. I mean, the title was "What's So Strange About Dandelions?" I think people were like, "There's nothing strange about dandelions," and so they
Yes,
clicked
there
on it and
is.
listened. So it was very popular. Rachel, kudos.
Well, good job.
Thank you. So, sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks.
What about them?
I'm
Yeah.
here. This is kind of so the connection with like Victoria's bit was like kind of will come up a little bit more, but it's more of like you talked about how you were very like the spider lady. Well, I'm the shark lady. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
yeah. So sharks. So there are many different species of sharks in the world, with over 540 species described so far. And we've done a few creature features on several throughout the years, all of which were well deserved. Like Victoria, you covered cookie cutter sharks, which kudos.
That story still haunts me to this day.
Good.
I also did the sharks eating their siblings in the womb one.
Yeah, you did.
yeah.
Also horrifying. And we've talked about like epaulet sharks and lantern jaw or stoplight lantern jaw sharks and just a lot of variety, right? And
Yeah.
like the episodes that we've talked about, whenever we bring up sharks in any way, shape, or form, they tend to be some of my favorites, but that's mostly because I just love sharks, which I think everyone who listens to this podcast definitely knows.
Yes.
Have either of you heard of the bonnethead shark?
No, but it sounds adorable.
Doesn't
No,
it?
I don't think I have.
Oh, phenomenal. So, bonnethead sharks, or Saphirna tiburo, are a type of hammerhead shark, and they're
Love
located.
hammerheads.
Yeah, and they're actually the smallest of the hammerhead sharks. They are located along the coast of the Atlantic, spanning from New England all the way down the East Coast, and then wrapping around up onto the West Coast side of the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
Really cute. They are the smallest. There are 10 different species of hammerhead sharks, and I feel like we've talked about hammerheads at one point or another, but I could be wrong. And they are very cool. They average from 2 to 3 feet in length, bonnetheads. The largest that we've ever seen any bonnethead get to is about 5 feet, so less than one Rachel.
Okay.
And generally, they weigh less than 25 pounds. So pretty light.
Yeah.
Nice little shark, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
super terrifying as sharks go.
No, and they're pretty cute. The females are larger than the males. Not by a ton, but by a little bit. And as is typical for hammerhead, those in the hammerhead family, they have a rounded, smooth head that's kind of shaped like a shovel. Their other name is shovelhead shark. Or a shovel shark. A bonnet actually is you talked about this, Kirk. We name things after things that it reminds us of, and the head looks like a bonnet.
Nice.
So it's a rounded, smooth head.
The bonnet, we say bonnet, the thing that goes on the headwear, not bonnet, the front of a car.
Yes.
Okay.
Although I think both are applicable.
Okay.
Similar round shape. So instead of like a hammerhead, this has more of a round, pointier shape. And then at the end of the lobes onto the side is where the eyes are, which is very typical of hammerheads. This allows them to have better vision and allows them to have wider range of vision. It also
Probably better depth perception too.
definitely better depth perception, and because of the shape, they're able to make sharper turns in the water. They also have more ampullae, so they're able to sense electrical signals and things like that. They have more surface area to get those signals into their body.
Cool.
Really cool. They have counter shading, with the underside of the shark being a lighter gray or a white, and then the dorsal side is a plain gray or brown. These sharks, they give live birth. The females often store sperm inside for up to 4 months before they fertilize the eggs.
Wow.
Right?
Huh.
Now, the pups, when they are born, are about a foot in length, which is a third of the length of the mom, which is wild.
Ouch.
That would hurt. And they're born after 5 to 6 months of gestation, which is actually the shortest of all sharks. Most of them are much longer than that. And
okay.
female will have anywhere from 4 to 14 pups, which is definitely a lot when you're only 3 feet long and you're birthing multiple babies that are a third of your size. So, ow.
Yes, that's wild.
Yeah. As you can imagine, like when they are in that kind of space, they'll actually go into like bays and coves where that are a little shallower, and they don't feed as much when they are in that time, when they're gestating. Like they will, but not
full.
as much.
Where would
'cause
they
they're
put the
full.
food?
Exactly. It also is like a thing where the males will actually swim away, and it's thought that it's a mechanism so the males don't feed on their pups. It's really interesting. Now, all of this is really fascinating, right? But like, it's not really strange.
Not strange, no.
No.
What do you got for us?
What do sharks eat?
Other animals?
Yeah.
Fish?
Fish. Mostly fish.
Fish. So bonnethead will eat fish, not as often. Mostly they actually specialize in crabs, shrimp, snails, and bivalves, which is unusual for a
That's cool.
shark.
Yeah.
Especially
Crunch,
for
crunch.
hammerheads. They actually have different teeth. So most sharks are a capture and swallow kind of thing. They stop chewing and such when they capture their food. They just tear off big chunks and swallow that part whole.
Right.
Bonnetheads actually have different sets of teeth. So they have some sharp teeth in the front, and then towards the back they have a flat molar plate that actually allows them to like crush open the shell, and then they can swallow it. So it's a 2 jaw closing phase. So because once they like crush their prey, then they swallow it down their gullet. But that isn't the wildest thing. They've also been shown to eat seagrass.
What?
What?
Omnivorous shark?
Which makes them the first known shark to be omnivorous.
Whoa.
That is wild.
Oh yes. So the study that first showed this found that the sharks can digest the seagrass, because some people were like, well, just because they're eating it doesn't mean that they're actually digesting it. Can they digest it?
Be like
That's
a medicinal
fair.
thing or something.
Exactly. Or like everybody's dog eats grass sometimes, but they can't actually really digest the grass, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they barf it up on your carpet later, yeah.
So the sharks...
Ask me how I know.
So the sharks actually can digest the seagrass, and they actually found that it can be up to 62% of what scientists have found in the shark's gut.
What?
Wow.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are pretty wild in the fact that they are omnivorous, and it really depends on how much food they've actually shown that there is differences in what the bonnetheads will eat depending on the season, and that also goes into like what's available, right? Not everything's going to be available all year round. But yeah, that's what I had for you all today, an omnivorous shark.
It kind of
With molars.
reminds me of
With molars.
I think I talked about on the show how people assume that like wolves are such like peak carnivores, but when they're in season, something like 80 or 90% of their diet can be blueberries.
It's 80%
Yeah, you did an
of their
episode
diet,
about
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
Kirk. I think.
What's that?
Didn't you do an episode about that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. I think I did. And it's like
You did.
It's that kind of unexpected thing. I think we have this view of like something being a predator is that's like kind of their only thing, but it's like if there's food available, why not use it, right?
Phenomenal segue
But a
into
shark
my
eating
source.
grass. It's like
Shark eating
it's like
grass.
I picture like a manatee doing that, not like a shark.
Yeah. Ain't that wild? It
That's
actually
super
is
cool.
a really fun segue into the paper that first researched this in 2018. Seagrass digestion by a notorious carnivore. And that was by Samantha Lay et al. From the Royal Society of Publishing, which was open access. So good job.
Yeah.
Were there some scare
Yay.
quotes in that title that I heard?
Yes, there were. Carnivore was air quoted
In quotes.
in
Nice.
the actual paper, which is phenomenal in the title.
Love it.
I also got some information about bonnetheads from NOAA Fisheries, Wikipedia, and the Aquarium of the Pacific, which has bonnet sharks on display, which is cool.
Very cool.
Nice.
And that's what we all have for you this week, is some wild stuff. Thanks everyone for listening. See you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach us by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can check out our website, strangebynaturepodcast.com, and you can support the show and get ad-free episodes at patreon.com/strangebynature. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.